Depending on the thumbnail or title you see, welcome to the plot holes and or unanswered questions in Valorant's story so far. Mainly because they're two sides of the same coin, seeing how Valorant's story is far from over and we may get answer to many of these questions in the future, or we may not. Let's start off with agents being eliminated in cinematics. For example, in the retake cinematic, we see that Omega agents were sent a one-way ticket to the afterlife. However, some of these agents reappear again. How? Well, there's a few explanations that I can explain. We get a clue from one of the developers who says, every fight the agents enter is a matter of life and death, but this is the Valorant protocol. They've always got a few tricks up their sleeves. If ever those backup plans fails and an agent falls, never to return again, you'll know for a certainty. This is good to know that there are contingency plans for the worst case scenarios, and that permanent death can still happen to some of the characters in the story. Regardless, one of the obvious explanations to one of those backup plans is Sage just reviving people. There's a reason why in the Abyss and Vice's trailer, we can hear Sage coordinating with the team, but not there physically with them.
Omen, you need backup. I'm pulling you out.
No, we need Wilders. What secrets are they hiding here?
Fine, but watch over our new recruit.
You do know I'm immortal, right?
Lucky shot.
Team, stand tall and finish this. Quickly. It's highly capable and extremely dangerous. What they're able to do, it's like there's some kind of monster. Be ready for anything.
This is probably a strategy that both Omega and Alpha agents follow, where Sage just revives her teammates who perish in combat after the dust settles. However, there are some issues that come up with this plan. There's probably limitations to Sage's abilities, which is probably why we have this voice line by Viper.
Viper, have you thought about my offer? You don't have to.
Never, ever assume you can help me. You can't help me. You can't help them. Sage, you're the only one who can keep us alive. Don't fail us now like you failed me then.
There's also the fact that we've seen Sage in the battlefield before and in harm's way. So the protocol seems okay with having the only person that they know that can revive people possibly being axed too. But also, how does she even get the bodies? I mean, I guess sometimes whoever eliminated the agents might just leave them.
Hide the bodies, we weren't here.
Or keep them somewhere.
We bring enough body bags?
Or maybe just dispose of them altogether.
Bodies decompose after 12 hours in acid. There's no reason I know that.
There are a few other ways I want to mention as to how the agents can come back to the land of the living. Before we get into those theories though, I want to talk about Yoru. When he was released, he was known as a Rift Walker. We saw some of his abilities being used like teleportation and traveling through tears in space. However, we never saw his footstep abilities being used. Fast forward to patch 4.04, he no longer can do this, but instead can create a clone called Fake Out. There was a voicemail left by him in patch 4.02 to Brimstone that was supposed to explain how he got better use of his powers.
It's me. I know you told me to leave S22 alone, but I went anyways. It's freezing. I searched the warship again and found dimensional scarring on the sides. I'm telling you, this didn't sail here from Japan. And the armor. If Kingdom discovered Radionite 10 years ago, why is my mask filled with it? There's more to find here, but I won't turn my back on this place. You shouldn't either. Brimstone, something happened at S22. I was walking the warship again when I felt something different. The dimensional fabric was weaker there, older. I could feel seams that someone left a long time ago. And then I fell into a space that wasn't just A to B. It felt more like now to then. I heard someone calling to me. I didn't have time to answer before the rift closed. But I swear to you, I knew her voice.
However, we never actually seen him use his Fake Out ability in the cinematics before, nor has there been any emails, voicemails, or voice lines talking about this ability to send out a fake clone of himself. When a new agent gets added to the protocol, most of the time there's someone or something that tries to explain each of their abilities and powers. We have nothing for Yoru's fake out. I mean, we can assume that he can do it in Valorant's lore, we just haven't seen any evidence of him doing so yet. And I just want to say, if you've been enjoying this video, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as consider being a member if you want to see more. Thanks again for viewing. Let's get right back into this topic. Also, this is his full name, where Kiritani can mean valley or ravine, whereas this part of his name has many meanings, like excellent, fact, dragon, cool, and much more. An agent's full name can give us insight into a person's personality, character flaws, and a possible future, too. You know whose name we don't know yet? Deadlock's. And no, I'm not talking about Valve's new MOBA game, but Agent 23 who hails from Norway. We only know one part of her name, which is Iselin. What's going on here, Riot? It's been over a year now. Does Deadlock just not have a last name? Is this like a common practice in Norway or something? I mean, well, since we don't know her last name, comment down below what you think would be a good one for Deadlock, aka Iselin, to have. And speaking of names, we still don't know anything about the person that Fate is looking for.
Brimstone! Brimstone, it's Fate! Ah! It's Fate. When you briefed us on this location, I thought maybe this is where he's been all this time. But no. There was no sign of him in the cells. There's nothing. Nothing! You live until you're forgotten, right? I'll keep looking.
But to get back to the whole agents cheating death explanation, theory number 2 is all surrounded with this KJ voice line.
Don't worry, team. If you die, I have your memories backed up at base. Just kidding, just kidding. Or am I?
Maybe she wasn't joking, and this is how the agents kind of cheat death in a way. She uploads their memories into a new body. This theory does spark a lot of other questions and worries too, like are the bodies 100% organic tissue, robotic, or a mixture of both? How would this impact Reyna's abilities too? Abilities that I thought were based on soul energy. Well, we do have some robots in Valorant's game, Kayo and the practice dummies. If you have blood enabled, both show it. If you have it turned off, everyone in Valorant's story shows sparks, like a bullet hitting a metallic structure. Maybe our bullets are actually hitting a metallic skeleton under these agents' appearances. Plus, the last time I checked, Reyna can use her Devour ability on Kayo's eliminations. This could either mean that Reyna's powers don't necessarily work the way we think, it's just a gameplay mechanic not matching the lore, or maybe Kayo does have a soul. And while on the topic of agents' souls and appearances, did Omen's transformation spark the first light? In the Valorant art and lore Discord, one of the devs state that a lab not far away is operating during the first light. Its experiments are based on an undiscovered substance in the universe. We can assume that this is Radianite. They go on to say that the first light is a supercharged Radianite event that transformed the world as we know it. Thanks to Viper, we also know that Omen's transformation happened right around this time as well.
So they send Omen to kill me, he fails, first light happens, and everything changes. That all tracks. Hourglass has failed.
Could this be the same research lab where Omen transformed, or was the dev hinting at another one elsewhere? And speaking of research labs, why is Kingdom so obsessed with Radivores? And where do they actually come from? Are they man-made, creatures that occur naturally in a world filled with Radianite, or is a bit of both happening here? I do have a theory that these creatures can access the Interverse. We saw that Gecko was able to escape Kingdom West Laboratories thanks to her portal. We don't know who opened that portal, but I guess it was one of his Radivore pals. There's also a chance that it could have been opened by the missing Radivore in Kingdom West facilities.
To all Radivore containment staff, subject ZN35 remains unaccounted for in the Dirac wing. This entity can't disguise itself as any flora. Please remove all plants from your workspaces until it is recovered.
If you see any flora or fauna that are brightly colored, moving unusually, or otherwise suspicious in behavior or appearance, please alert your operations manager at once.
We have no clue where this creature is, and if they could do anything else besides shapeshift. Plus, there's this line in the Sunset trailer where Gecko and Wingman are near a portal similar to the one that they escaped in.
Yo, Wings. It kinda looks like you.
This portal looks quite different than the ones that we've seen used to travel between Earths. Nonetheless, it has to lead somewhere different, right? Well, I think that place is the Interverse. So now that leads me to ask, what is the Interverse really? Breaking up the word, we can assume that it's a space between two places, most likely an area connecting both the Valorant Protocol and the Valorant Legion's home. It can also be the bridge that Phase mentions in her nightmare.
I saw the walls holding our world together fall apart. I felt the wind go still. I could smell the bitterness of blood and bile. Brimstone, I have seen many things in my line of work, but we must not let this come to pass.
If Kingdom keeps messing with this place, then disaster might fall on both planets. A disaster worse than the Radiant Wars Kayo experienced before traveling back in time from an alternate future. In his trailer, we see that he was powered down and disassembled at one point. So, who would have put him back together? That person, to my best guess, would have been Thurston Wolf, the owner of this mansion on Breeze, the same island that Kayo arrived on. We don't know much about this NPC, but if you look at Kayo's left shoulder area, we see an image of a wolf. Surely this has to be an Easter egg to Thurston Wolf, right? But first, I would deeply appreciate it if you considered liking and subscribing to this channel, as well as be a member in the future. I have these subscriber milestone goals. At 1K, we'll do a Q&A plus a deep dive video on one specific agent that you guys vote on. At 5,000 subscribers, I'll do a live stream power scaling video with the community, and then put out a separate video based on what you guys vote on, as well as my own opinions too. At 10,000 subscribers, I'll do a full-on video detailing everything that I can find in Valorant's lore, which will most likely be over 2 hours. Thank you for your time. Please consider subscribing, and let's get back on track with this topic. Breeze in general is an odd map. We have a whole ship that crashed into the side of it, and there's no explanation as to why, as well as the fact that Raze mysteriously ended up here too, all the way from Berlin, Germany in one night.
Test. Is this broadcasting? Sweet. Chefio! It's Raze. Wow, you are not going to believe where I am, man. You remember that island where we found Kayo? The deserted one? Yeah! I'm stranded! Like, there is nobody here. What is up with that? Like, I know what you're thinking. How did Raze get on a deserted island? Great question. I was at the concert in Berlin with Killjoy and Phoenix, and things got a little wild, and then things got really wild, and then it's all a blur after that. Oh man, you should have been there, honestly. I know it's not really your scene, but they had a killer setup and free food and holograms. I mean, I know you love holograms. Anyway, so yeah, I need your help. If you could send a voucher, that would be amazing. I realize this all seems pretty unprofessional, but in my defense, I did survive. And it's kind of miraculous I rigged up this junk satellite dish to make this call. Oh, if you see Killjoy, can you tell her I'm okay? I bet she's freaking out, isn't she? She's so sweet. Totally not her fault, by the way. Blame Phoenix. Anyway, I owe you one, boss. Ciao.
How, Sway? How does one simply pull this off and laughs about it? At one point, some people theorized that Raze was kidnapped and replaced by her Omega double. However, we see the Omega Raze in the Revelations trailer, so that theory is kind of out the window. Maybe this whole thing was just a gag. Only the writers know at this point. But let's get back to this whole agents coming back to life after being gunned down. Another explanation could be related to the multiverse. We know that there is a mirrorverse, which is where the Valorant Protocol and the Valorant Legion come from. But there also is a multiverse, where if one agent dies on a planet, they may be alive on another one. And they just pluck them from there, which also doesn't make the most sense either. And this reasoning can only be applied to Omega Earth since they're more technologically advanced and have been doing this whole planet hopping thing for longer. Also, maybe an agent from a different planet doesn't want to leave their universe too. Far-fetched, I know, but anything is possible in the multiverse. This kind of leads me to the explanation of Valorant's main game mode. In Fortnite's lore, they kind of explain that everyone on the island is in a loop that gets reset by a cosmic power called the 0 point, as a lore explanation for Battle Royale. However, for us, there isn't much, and there may never be an lore explanation for Valorant's main game mode. At least that's what I used to believe before I remembered this Phoenix voice line.
This is crazy. It feels like we've been doing this forever. Anyone else feel like that? Just me? Okay.
Maybe this whole thing is just the dev team having fun with some borderline fourth wall breaking. Or maybe the agents themselves are in some type of loop. And if they are in some kind of like round-based loop, what is causing it? Radianite, the multiverse, or a byproduct of people being on their adjacent planet? Or maybe this has something to do with Agent 8. What if Agent 8's powers are so strong that they can put people in a loop, but only for so long? There are protocol members who can mess with space, therefore time isn't too far off since both space and time are closely linked together. And speaking of Agent 8, who the heck is it? And why do both Alpha and Omega versions of this person is no longer with their team? We know the locker on Alpha Earth is scratched out, while on Omega Earth, the locker is completely gone. Clove is the first person to make mentions of Agent 8 in a voice line, which was followed by silence.
So, are we going to talk about the empty locker back at base? The one with the scratched out 8? Anyone? No one? Okay.
The devs have mentioned that this person is alive and will join the roster in the future when the time is right. I want to circle back to Lotus now though. In the YouTube short, we see a version of Astra open and activate the Nexus. This is probably what Alpha Astra and Harbor saw at the end of the Revelation cinematic. However, this crisis was averted thanks to a spike detonation. The question now is though, who set this spike off? Brimstone said that his group were flying in blind and struggling to land. And in my opinion, Sky would have been too tired and far away to provide help. Harbor and Astral don't seem close enough to Seaside to plant the spike and wait for its detonations to happen in time either. But you guys tell me who you think planted the spike. Maybe it was really Sky, who has been the unsung hero in this storyline. Also, it was stated by Harbor that both Nexus locations needed to be operational to avoid calamity on Alpha Earth. Does this mean that when it was built, the Guardians knew that there would be 2 Lotus sites? Or there would be a mirror Earth? I asked this question because it's believed that the First Light caused a split and created the Mirrorverse. And the First Light was an event that happened roughly about 10 years in the past of Valorant's current storyline. To my understanding, Lotus is a lot older than that. My best guess is that the Guardians built one site and knew that there would be a Mirrorverse. Or maybe this split happened a lot further in the past than we thought. And speaking of the Astral Guardians, who and what are they really? I always thought they were some kind of like low-level cosmic entities, but it turns out they look quite human. What really makes these group of people different from humans and Radiants? Can all of them control stars and astral project like Astra? Or is that something that only she can do? And just like Yoru, we never actually seen her use her powers, and besides just astral projection, of course. My best guess that it would probably look similar to Horizon's ability in Apex. However, there is one person's ability that seems to confuse even an Astral Guardian, which is Clove.
Hey boss, I spoke with our new friend. Wanted to know more about where they go when their soul takes a break. Nothing like the astral plane. Ooh. I checked our database and that's my small collection of Guardian records there. As far as I can tell, immortality is not rare in Radiance. It is unprecedented. They worry me. That their power, it's a blessing now, but later, Chale, I'm not so sure.
Clove is one of the newer members on the protocol, so I wouldn't be surprised if it will take time before we know more about their origin story and how they became immortal. A type of immortality that is different from Phoenix and Omen, since Astra points out that this power is highly uncommon. Unless Astra had a brain fart and forgot the protocol had 2 borderline immortal beings, we can assume that Clove's power works differently from Omen's and Phoenix, and can be classified as true immortality. Because of this, we have no clue how Clove really is. Agent 25 seems to be very secretive about this too.
Oh, this reminds me of this one time where I, actually, never mind.
So, Clove, how exactly did you, become immortal?
Well, it all started when I was born. And then, you know what? I'll just tell you later.
And similar to Deadlock, we don't even know Clove's actual name either. And I guess we can throw Vice in there too. But they're kind of new, and there are times where it takes a while before we know an agent's full name. It's just that it's been a whole act, and we still don't know Clove's, despite knowing Isos, who's been out for a while now too. Also, do you guys think this creature that kept showing up in Clove's teaser is something special or just a regular plushie? I honestly thought it was ZN35, the Radivore that escaped Kingdom West facilities. Let me know down below. Lastly, one of the biggest and longest plot holes / unanswered question is related to Chamber and why he destroyed the Radiant Collider on Fracture. Was it really just to make a quick buck, or did he pick the lesser of two evil options? As well as the fact, why is he so buddy-buddy with his counterpart? I really have no clue to any of these questions surrounding Chamber. Y'all let me know what you think about all of this, as well as mention other unanswered questions in Valorant's story that I might have missed. Someone watching this just might have the answers you're looking for. A quick shout out to Captain Buttcrack that reminded me of Fade's, Deadlock's, and Chamber's plot holes. And as you can probably see, there's a lot of other unanswered questions in Valorant's story. If you want me to cover other plot holes in Valorant's story, like the video, subscribe, it will mean a lot as well. But till then, stay safe and I'll be yapping in the next one.